Hey everybody, Brian here with onX. Today we're going to take a look at how to use the onX Backcountry app while you're out on a ski tour. We covered the basics of the app and how to plan a tour in our last videos, so be sure to check those out if you haven't already. So I'm here with my buddy Jason. We're getting ready to head out on a ski tour today.
And one thing that's really important before we even go anywhere is we need to line up what has happened today versus what we were able to check last night. So we were able to check the forecast before, but let's go ahead and check that again before we actually go into the field. Brian, what are you seeing?
So I'm seeing we have a moderate danger rating today.
Yep.
Pretty much the same as yesterday, but we've got another problem that's been added.
That's right. So yesterday we had that loose dry. We also had the persistent slab, but today we have a third problem, and that's going to be the wind slab. And that's a result of overnight winds that transported snow and hardened a potential slab up high. Additionally, these online resources are fantastic and honestly crucial to me doing my job and recreating as a backcountry traveler. But what's really important to remember is that even though we use these online resources, when we get to the trailhead, when we get to the field, you want to see how that forecast lines up with the nowcast. Look around you, take in the weather, and see how everything lines up.
All right, so we've already got our offline maps downloaded. That's going to make sure that we see where we're going, even if we don't have service. Next up, we're going to start that tracker. So to do that, you hit the tracker icon there in the bottom, hit start. That's going to drop a track so we can follow it and see exactly where we are and compare to the route that we planned out yesterday.
Another thing that's incredibly important to our partnership as backcountry skiers is we've agreed to monitor conditions along our route and constantly check in with each other. I found that referring to the app throughout my tour allows Brian and I to check in and identify not only are we on the right track, but it also allows us to know if we're underneath one of those potential hazards that we identified when we were planning this whole trip out.
That's right. Should we go skiing?
Let's go for a ski.
All right. So as we're on our way up here, we can pull out our phone, we can check out the map, look at this track that we're creating and make sure that it's generally lining up with our route that we created when we were planning this tour. And that's gonna make sure that we're, following our plan and staying on the same page.
It's super important that we stick to our plan. Another feature that I end up using quite often is the ability to set waypoints and mark features. I might use that in an instance where we had just dug a snow pit and I want to know exactly where that location was. Another really important one is making note of things as I see them and marking terrain traps for the way down, especially, and of course, for the way up. One thing that's really important at this stage of the game when Brian and I are traveling in the field is answering the question, are we in avalanche terrain? And that means two things. Are we currently in terrain or are we underneath it? I'm gonna start off by letting nature tell me what's going on. I'm gonna look at the trees. Do I see trees? Do I see damaged trees? Are the trees really small? Those could be indications that we are in an avalanche path, and I don't really see that evidence right now. The next step I'm gonna go to is pulling out a slope meter. You can use an app on your phone or you can use an old-fashioned one just like this one. And I'm actually gonna measure the terrain on the skyline here. And I'm getting about 25 degrees, which is actually keeping us on track. Brian and I agreed to stick below that, and we're doing that. We've agreed to it, and we're actually sticking to our plan. The last thing that I have the most trouble with is identifying whether or not I'm underneath a slide path. And so that's a point where I'm gonna actually go to the app, turn on that slope shading, and see what I see above me from the app. And that will often tell me if there are hazards above that I'm unable to see from this vantage point. But I think those are pretty important features, and I use them continually throughout the day.
All right, so we've made it to the top, or almost to the top of our planned route here.
Yeah, we almost made it. I think our anticipated transition point was about 100 meters up this ridgeline. But as you can see, visibility is a little bit difficult to navigate through. So I can see from here barely where we're gonna stop and transition, but I think right here, or actually maybe even down in the trees, might be a better idea and a good place for us to make our transition to down.
All right, so there's a look at how to use the onX Backcountry app when you're out in the field. Hopefully this helps you find some tours near you and get out on the snow more often.
Let's go skiing.
Let's do it.